Jack was the eldest, he was 12. He was a musician. He was just a lovely, quiet, gentle boy. Paul was cheeky, full of confidence, a good sportsman. He was a runner. Personal best was always in his mind.
Claire, proud mother, domestic abuse survivor. She left the man who'd controlled and bullied her and her children for years. But the abuse continued. It escalated, with the two boys caught up in a world of fear.
They were frightened of their dad, and they were frightened for me, and they were very protective of me and worried.
Despite everything, the boys' father had a right to see them. Claire sensed the growing danger, but was powerless to stop. What happened next?
There was a policeman stood at the door, and I said, "What's he done?" "He's done it, hasn't he? He's done something to him."
Northumbria Police.
Domestic abuse is a reality in every part of the country.
Come in as a domestic, or someone having been stabbed with a screwdriver.
Northumbria Police are dealing with calls for help 24/7.
She got any children in the address?
And they often involve children.
Our ex-partner threatened to beat her and a 12-year-old child up. So we're going to get somebody up there straight away.
Children can and do suffer direct abuse, but they also witness violence.
It has a terrible impact on children. We know that those children are often going to find it difficult to build relationships, may have difficulty holding down work.
I've had black eyes, I've had elbows and knees, and my head would be bashed off something.
Jane finally fled after she and her kids endured almost 5 years of domestic abuse. We've changed her name to protect her and to protect the children.
I see the massive effect it's had on them. You'd be in the middle of having this fight and you'd be looking at your kids, you'd have the eye contact with your kids, and you could just see the fear in like them crying and stuff, and you wouldn't know what to do because you can't get out of the situation.
Got to take hold of the female's arm and hit her on the back.
After the 999 calls, the response. Northumbria Police on the case. Every year across the country, the number of recorded domestic abuse incidents is rising. We're on our way to a domestic violence case. Every incident like this is treated very seriously, but when there are children involved, it all takes on an even greater sense of urgency. And there are also routine checks. Tonight, the police are visiting Melissa, along with a specialist from Wearside Women in Need.
We'll give you a call and just offer support.
Yeah.
There are no kids here. Melissa felt she had no choice but to give up her newborn baby for adoption because she was trapped in an abusive, controlling relationship. Domestic abuse breaking the bond between mother and child.
It's cost you your baby, and it's cost your baby his mum.
I'll never see my baby again. I'm in so much pain. It's ruined my life, basically.
Is there anything that you need for your flat that I could help you with?
No.
Melissa is trying to turn things around. She's got a job and wants to look to the future with the ongoing support of Wearside Women in Need. For kids caught up in domestic abuse, there's always damage. But for Claire, as she was rushed to Sheffield Children's Hospital, it became a matter of life and death.
I walked up to the bed and they stopped the CPR, and I held him in my arms. I held him so tight and my tears were in his head, and then his eyes closed.
Paul was gone, and Claire became aware of another bed, doctors fighting to save Jack. Their abusive, violent father had also died in the fire that he deliberately set after trapping the boys in the attic.
The boys couldn't get out, but Jack tried, and he'd managed to get Paul to the edge of the attic, but he'd fallen through into the flames below. And when the fireman picked him up, he said, "My dad did this and he did it on purpose."
A family destroyed, but still more agony to come.
Well, I went with Jack to Manchester, Burns unit, and he went straight into theatre. Jack fell asleep in my arms after a 5-day battle in Manchester Children's Hospital.
Early intervention can help children and save lives. Here, a Northumbria Police team scans the overnight reports of domestic abuse for cases involving children. It's Operation Encompass and is now rolling out across much of the country. It means the school is called early morning so that they can support that child.
First thing we will do is we always make sure that we greet that child with a smile. And if they've not got school uniform on, we can offer them school uniform. We check that they've had breakfast. We just check that they are all right.
The national statistics are bleak. 1 in 7 children experiences domestic violence, and there are calls for a more consistent multi-agency response, nationwide, driven from the top.
I would like the Prime Minister to make this a priority for the whole of government and actually send out strong messages and a framework for government and public services throughout the land that children need the help now. They can't wait for that support.
Claire now campaigns with Women's Aid. Their Child First project has recorded 20 cases since 2005 where children have been killed by fathers who are known perpetrators of domestic abuse but still had access to their children.
Domestic abuse and coercive control, it's a silent killer. It needs to be recognised and stopped.
Claire demands that family courts put child safety at the heart of every decision, a demand she makes in the name of her Paul and her Jack.
And I promised no other parent would have to do what I did and hold the child in their arms as they died, knowing it's at the hands of somebody who should love them and protect them the most.